All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Packaging Experience Top Podcast with Tom and myself. And Tom, how are you?
Living the dream, man. It's been an interesting last couple of weeks, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
So we could jump into that rabbit hole. But how are you doing?
I'm always doing good. Over here in California, the weather's good, and every time I would see the news, I know that you living in Florida we're going through it, you and your family, and looking forward to kind of hearing about what was going on over there during that time, that hurricane too.
Yeah, that was cool. It was not cool. That's the wrong word. What am I thinking? That was crazy. Um, the reason I said cool, and that is definitely a slip of the tongue, is that I've lived in Florida since 1985, so almost 40 years, right? So
Wow.
and where we live in Sarasota rarely gets hit or never gets hit since 85. When we moved here, Hurricane Elena hit. And then now for this hurricane that actually the eye pass over us was something I had never experienced before. But yeah, quick download, it's just a lot of setting up, prepping. We get a lot of food, water, freezing water, all this type of stuff. So it's like 2 days of setup, putting storm shutters up, your hurricane shutters up, and then getting your generator gassed up, and then you sit, and then you just wait for the storm. And then the storm is like 12 hours or something like that. And then I think it was like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. I mean, it was humming. It was like 100-mile-per-hour sustained winds with like gusts of like 120. And you can hear stuff just getting damaged outside. And then all of a sudden the eye goes over, and it was like 45 minutes of silence, like eerie silence, because the other side of the eyeball is coming to hit you. So we were extremely lucky. Didn't really have any issues. My screen didn't pool, had some damage. All my screens are missing, and they still are. So my pool was like a mosquito hangout, and that's super fun.
The worst. Don't go outside.
Yeah, Florida is mosquito haven anyway. At sunset, it's like you can hear what is it, that song from it's like Ride of the Valkyries or something like that, if you've ever seen.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Like at sundown, you can hear the swarms coming after you, and I'm pretty sure they're on there.
Yeah, that's
Talking
definitely
about.
probably the best song for a mosquito coming straight at you, just hungry.
Yeah, it always reminds me of what's the Nam movie with Marlon Brando where he's like, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Oh, it's
That's
not
not Full
Yellowstone.
Metal Jacket. I can't think
I
of
was
that.
just gonna
Anyway,
say that. Yeah.
going down a rabbit hole. Anyway, we were really lucky. My
Yeah.
sister, her house is new, so we all kind of hung out there, put up her shutters. She didn't lose power, which is crazy. But we live in a new construction part of Sarasota, so all of our power lines are buried. My mom lives in Old Town, so she lost power for about a week. My house, we lost power for a couple days. Nobody I know of was hurt. Lots of damage. I mean, we went down to Siesta Key last weekend, and it looks like a war zone. And they're still, I mean, they're going to be cleaning up for months and months. So on the side of
Yeah.
every road, there's just trees and debris, and it looks like a third world country, especially on Siesta Key, which is a barrier island. That whole island was probably 3 feet underwater. So the code out there is really your garage is on the first floor, and then you don't start putting living quarters on the second floor. But if somebody's grandfathered in, their house is just rock. If you had living space on the ground floor, it was probably 3 or 4 feet underwater. So it was interesting. And then I was helping doing cleanup, and then I had to come out to California for work. So that was
Yeah.
nice because I was getting sick of driving my generator around to everybody and cleaning up all that stuff. So I was like, oh, sorry, I have to go. I have to go to California.
It's like telling your dad I have to go play when he's asking you to do yard work. Sorry,
Yeah.
Dad, I already got plans.
Yeah, I'd love to rake those leaves, but
Yeah.
I got a pickup basketball game in about 20 minutes. So
and they're really depending on me. So
yeah, I mean they've been
but
chanting
I wanna
MVP. It's been
yeah.
important.
Yeah. They're handing out candy and everything after. Right, Dad's
Mhm.
super important.
Yep.
I did have a question though for you. Like I've never been through a hurricane before. I've been in tornado warnings, stuff like that from living in Texas. But my question is like how much does that affect, you and your family? Like how much does that take a toll on you guys?
Hmm. There's a lot of complacency again because we've lived here for so long and we've never gotten directly hit, but there is There's a little bit of nerves on this one. This is the most prepared we've
Yeah.
ever been because we saw that the eye was coming right over top of us. So usually it's just like, yeah, we're kind of good and we're hunkering down. But this one we were prepared. I mean, we probably had 2 weeks worth of supplies all ready to go, and the coffin freezer is on the generator. So if we do lose power, um, I don't know. The kids kind of grew up with it. I mean, they were both born in Sarasota, and we've had scares forever. So again, I think there's a lot of complacency. And then it's just, for me, it's just a ton of work. There's 2 days of
Yeah.
prep, 1 day of storm, and then usually weeks and weeks of cleanup afterwards.
Which is
So
insane.
yeah, it's a stressy deal. I don't, I think we get more scared when there's tornado watches than we do hurricane watches and they can spin out like over the state of Florida on the like up towards I think like the Orlando area or just east of Sarasota on the fringe of the storm. There were tons of tornadoes, and those do damage. But
Yeah.
I mean, we were just kind of okay with it. It was cool. There's a little bit of excitement, a little bit of scared, but not like
Yeah.
crying or tears or anything like that.
Yeah, see, I feel like that would be me with being excited. Kind of an adrenaline junkie, but for the most part also worried. I can kind of see why you're worried for sure. But yeah, I was just curious. I mean, like again, I've never been through a hurricane before, so I was always just interested in seeing how much it affects people. And I mean, I see that it affects a lot of people in negative ways just because of, their house being underwater, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm glad you're all right. I'm glad your family's okay. And I was checking the weather since you lived over there. I was checking the weather every day. I was just like, where's Tom's house? He's right here. He's in Sarasota. What's going on? Is it underwater? And then I watched a YouTube channel and it said Sarasota was underwater. And I was like, oh my gosh, Tom's going to be in his kayak floating down the stream fishing. I already know it. And
Yeah, right.
yeah,
No,
so
like I don't live in really a flood zone area, so all of our
that's
lakes
good.
are interconnected. It's all engineered pretty well out here because again, it's new construction or newer construction within the past 15 or 20 years. It's really just
Yeah,
the part of Sarasota that was built in 1940s and 50s is ill prepared, and plus they're way closer to the water than we are to the ocean. And that was the biggest issue is the storm surge was like 8 to 10 feet, and there's waves on top of that. So if your house is only 4 feet away from the beach and like a foot above it, and then you add 8 to 10 feet of water on top of that, that's bad math. It's not good.
yeah,
So, but yeah, it was. I love. Again, I'm saying the wrong words. I said cool. I say I love hurricanes. They are like the power is impressive. Like the noise that they make and the power that they make and how long they
yeah,
last is pretty. It's a sight to behold. So next time one comes, you can come
yeah. I'll fly
stay
out.
and witness it. I know my Sarah's my wife's cousin and his wife, sorry, they're like, we want to experience one. So I think we're starting to get like hurricane junkies that want to experience them. So
Just a hurricane support team.
yeah.
Where are you guys traveling from? Oh, well, the West Coast, but we're here for the hurricane. Don't hear that
Yeah.
much, but I'm definitely down. I'll bring my kite and we'll do the whole Benjamin Franklin situation all over again. And
Oh, I would not. That kite's gonna be gone. You're gonna need to run like wire to it. But in all seriousness, like we're joking about it, but maybe we can put in our link some stuff to help support the people that were impacted by both Hurricane Milton and then what was the one right before that? No, I can't
something
remember.
weird.
I can't remember, but the one in North Carolina, we should put some links in our comments to support those people. The people in North Carolina really got it the worst with that. I mean, that flooding was insane, and they didn't have any prep. We knew it was coming, and they're just sitting there like, hey, we're in North Carolina and Tennessee, we're good. And then, I mean, entire towns are wiped out, which really breaks my heart because that's where we go when we're in Florida and we want to experience winter is we'll drive up to North Georgia or North Carolina because it's like 10 or 11 hours to get from, like, let's say on Christmas Day, it's 72 degrees in Sarasota. We could drive 10 hours and get the snow. So it's just like a complete different world up there as soon as you start getting to elevation. And that's what really did them in is like the elevation and the topography. Like Florida is so flat, but with the elevation and the topography, you're forcing a ton of water into very narrow channels, which is usually rivers because they've dug those channels out, right? And bore into the land. So those rivers just go from, a normal river height to all of a sudden 20 feet, and all these houses that are right on the river are just floating down the river. I feel so bad for
Yeah.
Asheville and all those
Seriously.
areas in North Carolina that are just beautiful and great tourist destinations, especially in the fall and, well, I mean, all year round. The summer's great up there too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, my heart goes out to them. So if anybody watching wants to donate to those people, we're all for it. So.
Yeah, and actually, I have the links right here. This is something that I kind of did my research on, and these are the most important ones to kind of put your money towards. I will leave links for this in the comments. Red Cross, just like always, lifeusa.org, World Vision, and the Salvation Army. Those are four very safe places to donate, and you know where your money is going to be going for sure. But those are the ones that I've found that are the most helpful.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jeff, for doing that research. So, yeah,
Yeah,
please. It's always good to find out if you're donating to a charity, how much of every dollar actually makes it to the people that's
absolutely.
intended to benefit. For example, like, I don't know if this is true still, but March of Dimes is like an easy way to remember that might not be the best charity, is only 10% goes to the people that are actually intended to. So, like, March of Dimes, 10%. I don't know if that's true. I might get sued for slander.
Yeah.
Refer to our disclaimer, but I think I saw that at
Yeah.
one point, like 17 years ago. So it could be totally different. Take basically everything that I utter on this podcast with a grain of salt, because I don't really know what I'm talking about most of the time, unless it's like, packaging chemistry. But we can only
Yeah.
talk about that so much. But we can talk about cool packaging, things that we've liked and that have impacted us. That's my segue into the topic of today. What do we talk about today, Jeff?
Capri Suns.
I love
this
Capri Sun.
is. Tell me about it. Tell me. Okay, which one was your favorite flavor?
Well, I mean, growing up, when they first came out, there was only lemonade. There was just one flavor, and that was my favorite flavor. So when I lived in New Jersey before we moved to Florida, we had a timeshare in Fort Myers. And I remember, like, that was one of my favorite things, is coming down to the beach in Fort Myers and like taking the Capri Suns to the beach. And that flavor of that lemonade was so good. And like, how many fun things are there with Capri Sun? First of all, you can flip them upside down and just jam the stick into the straw into the gusset, right? Yeah. Because it was precarious up at top because they gave you that little aiming area. But how many times did you just go right through the back?
Yep. All the time.
Like, can't drink it.
Yep. I even went to the bottom on accident. It was just, I'm so fast. I wanted to drink it. It was just like, you know what? Done. Yeah. Drinking.
But like, overall scheme of things, there was really, I mean, that was groundbreaking as far as packaging, because it was like a drink in a pouch, in a stand-up pouch. That has to be a precedent. And I think that's the first drink in a stand-up pouch that was ever created. And especially one that just, I mean, took the world by storm. I mean, if I was, let's see, I was like 6. I wonder if they came out 5. I wonder if they came out in like 1982 or 83. I'd have to look it up. 1969?
Yep.
No
Invented
way.
in Germany.
No way.
A company in Heidelberg. It's literally in Germany. Crazy. 1969. The only reason why I'm mind blown by that is because that's when my mom was born. That was the year she was born. So, yeah, I mean, it was a whole Cold War situation, and actually Muhammad Ali was the reason why it really took a skyrocket. And actually, in the time that you just mentioned, it started to take in like an oval turn. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's crazy, because what ended up happening was there was 2 owners. One of the owners ended up going into World War II, and the other, I'm pretty sure they're brothers, and the other brother kept it going. And then eventually they came to, and that's probably why you said the 80s, is because I think that's when it came to the States.
Okay.
Was in the 80s, and that would make sense. But it was actually known as Capri Sun, like SONNE, and that's how it was named in Germany. And
really?
Whenever it came to the States, they named it SUN, because we weren't going to be like, I think they're spelling sun wrong, but
yeah, Capri Sun.
Yeah, right. Kind of give you like a little bit of a twist there, but yeah, to kind of go off of what you were just saying, it's insane how like where stuff starts and why it started and how it ended up over to the States. I mean, usually I don't feel like we're always last, but the majority, I guess in this case, we are.
Yeah, that's crazy. And Americans aren't very good at German anyway. Like, If you've seen the movie Pitch Perfect, she's like, one of the greatest cinematic reveals of all time is that Darth Vader is Luke's father. She's like, Vader is literally German for father. His name is Darth Father. How did you not
Darth
see that
Father.
coming? But that's because I don't know too many
I didn't know either.
Americans that know German or that Vader was father. And
Yeah.
I mean, I had a German rep that worked for me for a long time, and she was an amazing person. But
Yeah.
we would spend a lot of time on the western side of Germany where it borders Netherlands, and it's a beautiful part of the country. But
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get much past like Guten Morgen, and that's, like,
Yeah. Saying
good morning.
hello and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I had a German friend in college where we wrestled together. He was the most hardworking person I've like ever met in the sports, like in that time. And he taught me a few things, but I already forgot it. I mean, so that just goes to show you how hard, I mean, that language was for me at least.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, the word Capri Sun, I mean, even Capri is from that, I think it's like an Italian island,
Yeah.
where everyone goes in vacation. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a pretty cool, and the reason why we're bringing this up is because it relates to the packaging and kind of what their marketing strategy is, and kind of like their whole 360 turn, and their new designs and everything. And even Tom wanted to kind of dive into, I mean, what kind of packaging is it? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
style
yeah.
of it.
So it's a stand-up pouch. Obviously, it's a metallized structure, and you can see the metal there. So the metal is providing all of your oxygen, and clearly you need moisture barrier as well, or it would leak, right? It's a liquid. But it's pretty intense on the foil and the barrier. And then it also, I don't know if any of the contents are light sensitive, but obviously with the foil creating such a great barrier, it also keeps out UV light. Just like in potato chips, like one of the reasons that you never see clear, like greasy potato chip bags, like Lay's or barbecue or something, they're always opaque because the UV light will actually make them go stale. It's not just the moisture and the oxygen, but it's the UV light exposure that'll make potato chips go bad. But anyway, yeah, it's a metallized structure. What's cool about it is it's a Doyen bottom pouch, and it's got that like rounded bottom that was invented by a guy named Doyen. So it's a pretty cool little packaging study there. And I didn't know it was named after the Isle of Capri. I've actually been there, and if you haven't been there and you have the means, go there because at the top, not really my thing, but super high end shopping, right? Like all the great Italian brands and storefronts are there. I mean, it is pretty swanky as far as shopping. So, if you have just tons of money and you want to go to the Amalfi Coast of Italy and go shopping, Capri is great. And then underneath of it, which is the best part, is the Blue Grotto. I don't know if you've ever looked up the Blue Grotto, but you can go in there.
I haven't.
Basically, it's like you can go in there, and the grotto allows light in to hit the sand and reflect up, but no light in the actual grotto. So you go in these little boats, and then they climb, and you go in this hole, and then there's these guys like pushing you around, and paddling you around, and singing like Italian songs. It's almost like Goonies when the one of the Fratelli brothers was singing. Anyway, I'm totally all over the board, but
no, this is great.
It's so beautiful. If you Google or look up like images of the Blue Grotto and the Isle of Capri, it is one of the most incredible things ever. And Positano, which is right there on the Amalfi Coast, craziness. My buddy got married there. That's the only reason I went. I would probably have never thought to go there, but he's like, "Hey, you're my best man. We're going to Italy," and I'm like, "That's crazy. Okay, that sounds amazing." So, right above it, there's a city called Monte Pertuso, or an area called that, which means hole in the mountain, and you're never going to guess it, but there's a huge hole right there in the mountain.
Wow.
And there's a restaurant there called La Tagliata. Gotta go to that place. And we are down a rabbit hole of the Isle of Capri, and I'm going to pull back now and stick to Capri Suns.
I like how you brought the Goonies into it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Jeff, if we wanted to do just a podcast, and I could do probably an hour and not say a single piece of original dialogue and just go. And it drives my wife nuts because she's like, "What movie is that from?" I was like, "No, I actually really, that came from my brain." But that happens 1 out of 20 times. Everything else, I'm just quoting movies, and she has no idea.
I swear I'm smart.
Yeah. And she's
that's pretty much my personality, is quoting movies all day. It's like, if anything throughout my entire life, I think every day something happens and I'm like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of that movie, or there's like a joke, or I'll say a one liner, and especially if it comes from any type of Tommy Boy or just any type of those eras. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'll go
solid.
down the
I
rabbit
mean,
hole
and and can't find my car keys. I have no idea where my wallet is, but I can tell you every line from Austin
for sure.
Powers. No
Oh yeah,
problem. Blues
I fall
Brothers.
asleep to that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Raising
Oh yeah.
Arizona. Nail it.
Yep.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I've got an issue with that's the stuff that I remember. My wife's like, what are we doing this Friday? Do you remember what I told you yesterday? I'm like, no,
No.
I wasn't listening. I was watching a movie I've seen 400 times already.
Chris Farley told me that I needed to be watching his movie. All right, it's just
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so back
but
to Capri Suns. Here's a fun
yeah,
story
here we
about.
go.
Oh, I never asked you. So mine was lemonade, and again, I feel like when I came over, that was the only option. And then they started to expand. But you didn't tell me what your favorite flavor is.
Well, I was born 91, so by the time I started drinking them, I think there was maybe 96, 97, and they had, I think, four flavors where, fruit punch, whenever that came out, that was a huge hit, but grape was my favorite.
Grape.
Uh, yeah, I mean, at first it tasted like medicine, and I actually didn't like it at first. And as time went on, I started to become acquainted to it. Like you start to get acclimated to it, and it was just, yeah, for some reason it's my favorite after that. Now I have everything flavored grape. That's my favorite. Crazy.
Grape.
Thanks, Capri Sun.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I Dimetap. I don't know if you ever had that cold medicine Dimetap that was grape flavor. It was delicious. It was basically like Kool-Aid, you know. But
I
it
think I
looked like
have had that.
Robitussin, so I never really knew what was coming. It was either the worst flavor in the world or the best flavor in the world.
Never consistent.
No, because
Yeah,
Robitussin tastes awful.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but
Immediately
Diamond,
regret the decision after just putting that in water and trying to drink it. Good.
not fun. Not fun.
Um,
What was I
yeah, I
gonna
was just
say?
gonna kind of go into. I was just gonna say I was gonna go into the whole Capri Sun and like, uh, they're changing their sugars, and that's kind of what their marketing strategy is around. And I think you and I were kind of talking about this a little bit before we started diving into it, and how they changed their structure and how they made certain ingredients, and it made it their flavor kind of taste funky. And I think I would second that, because the last time that I had a Capri Sun, I think was the last time that I had a Capri Sun, because of how it tasted. And now that they're changing it to a zero added sugar, um, I wonder what it's going to taste like. I'm super
Mm.
intrigued.
So are they going with like a synthetic sugar, like
Sucralose,
aspartame or yeah,
yeah,
aspartame or whatever it is?
yeah,
That's a bummer. So we were having dinner at my sister's house because my niece was in town from college, and they had lemonade Capri Suns, and I was so excited. So my son was drinking one. I was like, "Let me have a sip," and it tastes. I was heartbroken. I had
yeah.
one
I
taste in
bet.
my head that I was hoping was just going to shoot all those synapses from when I was, 6 years old or 7 years old at that timeshare in Fort Myers. And I tasted it. I was like, not only
Yeah,
does it not taste like that, it wasn't that. I was just disappointed. Maybe when you're
yeah,
expecting something else and you get something different, there's always a level of disappointment there, which is
absolutely.
it is what it
Yeah, the
is.
nostalgic feeling out the window.
Yeah,
And that was the
uh,
one thing I was waiting on.
yeah. But I mean, awesome case study. You know how many Capri Suns have dropped and spilled during shipping? Probably zero because it's such a well made pouch, right? Their packaging, as far as how much they had to use, is little, but I'm sure it's a laminated or extrusion laminated structure. So, from a sustainability standpoint, those are probably single use plastics, if I had to guess. So they've got to be mixed plastic. There's definitely foil, and then there's probably extrusion layer to. I'd have to hazard a guess, like polyester to polyethylene, maybe, or I don't know what their sealant is, but that's my guess, which is kind of a bummer. But here's what I love is that they compress. So this is something that we used to do going scuba diving is not deep. I wouldn't take it to like 75 feet or anything like that. But if we're doing a shallow dive, like an alligator reef or hens and chickens in the Keys, um, and it's only like 30 feet, 20 feet. Some places you could like stand on a piece of coral and be out of the water. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
really awesome dive and it's crystal clear. You got to come down and we got to dive that together. Um,
absolutely. That'd be amazing.
but I would throw one in my BC because on those shallow dives, if you're not a diver, the shallower the dive, the longer your downtime is. And if you're not a diver, you don't know this, but if you're diving like just straight air as opposed to nitrox or something else, or even if it's nitrox, there's zero moisture in that air. So let's say you're doing a 25, 30-foot dive. You can have 45, 50 minutes of downtime, depending on your dive calculator and if that's your first dive or not. But after like a half hour breathing air that has absolutely zero humidity in it, you can feel it on your throat and everything. You just start feeling like
super heavy.
I'm just dried out. Usually if you see somebody scuba dive, one of the first things they do, they come up, they'll like chug like apple juice or something to just get that taste out of their mouth. But I would take a Capri Sun and throw it in my BC. That stands for buoyancy control. You fill it with air, you let air out so you can go up or down. Anyway, and then like halfway through your dive or 3/4 through your dive, you can take it and like pull your reg out, your regulator out of your mouth, punch a hole in it, and you get like 4 or 5 good sips out of it and just chug the whole thing. And it's pretty cool. Like when you're at pressure at like 1 atmosphere underwater, like the stand-up pouch is normally this big, but it's like all crumpled in together onto itself, but it doesn't break. So kudos to the Capri Sun for helping me with my dry mouth during scuba diving.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy considering that. I mean, even whenever you take it out of the box, it stands up. And I thought that was so genius, as in like, oh, cool, I don't have to pour this into a cup. It's just so quick, so easy, so simple. And like you said, it kind of breaks down super easy. Even for recycling purposes, I think it's pretty cutting edge. I mean, for the most part. So
yeah. Do you have any type of history on the Doyen bottom pouch?
Doyen bottom pouch.
Let's go. We're gonna do some research real time, so that's gonna end up great. Here, I'm gonna do it. I think. Am I gonna do it? Yeah. I just want to see like the history of it. Oh my goodness! This is why you don't do real time research.
That's all right.
I did it again.
That's all right.
Really turning into a trainer.
Invested in Louis Doyen, the CEO of French Machinery Manufacturing.
Wow.
In 1963, it gained U.S. patent in 1968.
Okay. See? So right at the same time as Capri Sun's come along?
Yep. The brand was launched by a multinational flavor company, Wild Flavors, which was in Germany, what we were talking about.
Okay.
Wild Flavors is the two brothers, so that's their last name, Wild.
Okay.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah. And you're right. It didn't come to the States until 1982, and then it was in all of the states in 1991. So that would make sense why whenever I was born, about 6 years later, there was more flavors and such.
Yeah. See, there you go. So 82. I like that's so weird about flavors and stuff. It's like I can tell you exactly how old I was like when I had my first Capri Sun.
That is wild.
43 years ago. Good Lord. I'm so old.
And this is how how much it struck you that time, and how much you used it. I mean, I think Capri Sun is almost in every kid's staple of like a memory. And every time I think of a good time with friends or family or whatever at a young age, I think I'm pretty much always having a Capri Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah,
great.
so
I wish they would make one that was like double the size.
40 ouncer.
40. Grab my 40s at Capri Sun. Yeah. That's hilarious. I don't know. 40 is a little extreme, but how many ounces are they? Maybe 10, 8 to 10?
Yeah, I was going to say 8 ounce. They're little suckers.
I'd love to have 16 ounce. That'd be cool.
Yeah, double it a little bit. Give me a double.
Yeah, exactly. Capri Suns are awesome. Really cool case study. Invented in 1969, came to the United States. They made it directly just for me. I was their sole consumer in 1982 in Fort Myers. Doyen bottom pouch, compresses in scuba diving. I just made it through a hurricane, and please donate to those hurricane people. What did I miss, Jeff? I just summed up the whole podcast. Should we
Nothing. That
just
was
edit
it.
it down to that 10 seconds and be like, that's it?
Yep, that's it. Welcome to our podcast. All right, bye.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But guys, thank you for tuning in. This was very fun. We got another one coming to you next week. And I'm not even going to give you a hint of what it is. Just know that it's going to be a good topic.
Yeah,
And
I hope it's a good topic. I don't
yeah.
even know. They keep me in the dark like a mushroom.
I'll tell you last minute. Okay, you
Okay,
prepared?
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. But we hope you enjoyed this. Sorry that we were late, but unfortunately there was some stuff going on with myself and Tom, and there was a lot of just craziness going on. But we appreciate your patience, and we're looking forward to getting back on track. And we will have this video up and soon to you guys. So
Awesome.
we'll see you guys, and we appreciate you. And I'm sure Tom's got one last thing to say to you guys.
Nope. I'll see you soon.
Nope.
Thank you.
We'll see you.